What's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent. Welcome to the channel, and I was actually recently asked to start speaking out about some more modern topics. I kind of just make up stuff, like I find a problem that almost kind of doesn't exist and then tries to make it a problem, try to convince you guys, hey, this is a problem. Don't you guys agree? Most of you guys never do. But, you know, I try to be creative with my topics, but somebody did ask, hey, can you talk a little bit more about trending topics, about things that are, you know, a little bit more in our faces that we can discuss. You know, that's some of that sweet drama. I know YouTube loves that drama. So you know what? Why not? I'm gonna throw out my voice here because I got some thoughts and feelings coming from working. You know, ever since on YouTube, been focusing on free-to-play games, but especially I work specifically with a website called Free MMO Station, where like I would play a lot of free-to-play games that had loot boxes and a lot of weird microtransactions. A lot of games were pay to win. I was there. Okay, I was on the front lines, and not only that, but I still am because I still very much, as you can see from my channel, I promote a lot of games that tend to be very gray area. But the thing is like, I think every game's a gray area game, but we'll get into that later. But also, I'm still playing a lot of mobile games, and I'm trying to sift through the garbage and trash and the mountains of awfulness so that I can bring you guys, you know, the actual best games, or at least I attempt to. But anyway, so the news that everyone is talking about, clamoring to get onto YouTube about, to do exactly what I'm doing here, is a U.S. senator is introducing a bill to ban loot boxes and pay-to-win microtransactions. Just straight up, done with it. No, can't do it. Loot boxes and pay-to-win microtransactions, get out of my games, or specifically get out of children's games, or games that seemingly are marketed towards children. So essentially, what is going on here? Senator Josh Hawley, okay, today announced a bill that would ban loot boxes and pay-to-win microtransactions in games played by minors. That's pretty much it. And obviously, that's very vague. Actually, like if you think about it, this whole channel is about distinguishing different genres of games and trying to represent different types of players and trying to get those games out to those kind of players. I influence you guys to buy the games that I think you guys would enjoy, but there's so many different categories of games and categories of players. And even if you just think, you know, like, okay, games for under 18-year-olds and games for over 18-year-olds, that's what? A lot of people play Candy Crush. As an example, like who is that really marketed towards? It's really actually marketed towards, you know, really old people and really young people at the same exact time, and I think it's actually played a lot, maybe more by older people. But anyways, like it's kind of polarizing some games. But regardless, anyways, this is specifically a bill to really stop games from really speaking to emotion. The words that he used introducing the bill, it's supposed to stop, you know, I guess these abusive practices, these things that really prey on addictive personalities, obviously, but like, you know, in children, you're more susceptible to these addiction, these impulses. It's supposed to protect children from these impulsy, these I would almost say terrifying sort of microtransaction and gameplay schemes, where I don't know if you guys are aware of these kind of games, because some of you guys just peace out if you see, you know, any sort of microtransaction at all. But basically, a lot of these games, like Candy Crush or Clash of Clans, is a really great example that I think a lot of you guys probably played. Not a bad game as a whole, but it does do a thing where they introduce irritations, agitations. They introduce essentially negative aspects into the game, or they just halt your gameplay progress entirely, literally won't let you play the game. So my bros who know about the stamina systems, right? You guys know what I'm saying? So a lot of these mobile games will do these things to where they almost slap you in the face. And as a kid, this is like a hardcore impulse. And as somebody who has like an addictive personality, you are going to you're just going to spend money. You're just going to spend money because you got to play this game. You got to keep going because you want to play the game, because some of these games, technically, not bad games. But then when you think about the flow of the game, the gameplay loop, how the consumer actually interacts with the product or the service as a whole, that's when things get a little bit flucky. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this bill, do I think it's actually going to be pushed all the way through with things like that? Like, is it actually going to work? Is it going to change the world? Maybe not, because this is such news that everyone has to talk about it right now, because it's like, whoa, this is like a first, basically. I think that a lot of old people don't know technology. I don't think. I mean, is this really something that we can talk about? We need to be talking about saving the coral. We need to talk about global warming. there might be some really important issues today, or some more adult issues that I think this might seem like a distraction, but in the end, here's what I'm going to say. Obviously, I'm biased because I have a gaming channel and I love video games, and I have a son as well. But this is kind of important. You know, it's not just for video gaming, but how a consumer interacts with a product or service is really important. And it's actually something that we've kind of been fighting a lot, especially in the tech space. You know, right now, farmers can't even, like, own their own tractors because of, like, laws that say, like, you know, you don't technically own the tractor. You can't actually upgrade it and work on it yourself. You have to bring it back into our shop because we own the tractor. So if you modify it in any sort of way, you know, you'll get in trouble, or you're going to void your warranty and things like that. You know, there's a lot of different things that I think kind of this reminds me of. Like, we're in this day and age where, yeah, sure, video games maybe are being taken a little bit more seriously, but I think more and more just technology and the legalese that goes into tech and how do we own it and how we interact with it is being taken more seriously, and how we are paying for it. Because right now, everything was a little bit of a gray area. Everyone was it was the Wild West, pew pew, you know, microtransaction here and there, and expansion packs, and this and that, and gamble. You know, it's a Wild West, and now we're finally taking it more seriously. So yes, is it an issue? Are these things an issue? I'm so glad finally, after freaking half a decade of me saying these are issues, and everyone saying, Sky, just shut up. You're just mad because you suck. Holy fuck. You have no idea how angry I was. And now I'm glad that other people are getting angry too. That other people are finally taking action. And here we go. Pay-to-win microtransactions and loot boxes. I do like the distinction of pay-to-win microtransactions. I would love for them to try to define that, because I've been trying and everyone loves to crucify me for even attempting to do that. But loot boxes, or you know, that's a pretty obvious thing for me. But and especially for games that seemingly are marketed toward children, and they should be able to get away. They should be able to define more or less, not so vaguely. It should be kind of probably in the ballpark generally, like, you know, Candy Crush, I do think is like, that does obviously appeal to kids. And I think, you know, like there was a lot of kind of precedence here when it comes to certain lawsuits, when it comes to the advertisement to children. It should be obvious, but I think what's going to happen is everyone's going to try to work around it. Obviously, you still want to get to kids, but they're going to just kind of do it in different ways. Also, you know, the loot box thing, I think that the upfront obvious stuff is going to get taken out. But if you play games like me, and you know, you really play games, modern games, you know that a lot, like especially Black Desert Online and a lot of these Asian MMOs, they do this thing where it's not so obvious if it's pay to win. You know, they have all these little convoluted upgrade systems, all these little convoluted microtransactions. It's very confusing, microtransactions. That makes it to where it's going to be almost I swear to God, it's going to be impossible for any judge to be able to actually judge, you know, if a game is going to be pay to win or not. Now, someone like me, basically, and what I would want from this bill is extremely strict definitions. If there is anything in the cash shop with random chances, like a card pack or anything like that, if there's anything that does not give you a specific item individually, then that cannot be in the game, or it cannot be sold to kids, period. It cannot be open and available to anybody under 18. Another thing, I guess, pay to win would be everything must be a cosmetic. There can be absolutely no game-altering, game-changing anything, whether you think it gives you power or not. And that's going to go to Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is like, okay, well, you need to pay for Pokeballs or whatever. Nope, that would have to be taken out. That would have to be taken out, just because I want it to be as strict a definition as possible so that we can have as pure a gameplay experience as possible. And I know some people would say, well, you need a give and take. You know, basically, it's an online game. You're paying for server space or whatever. It kind of makes sense to play Pokemon Go as if you're, you know, putting quarters into an arcade machine. Same thing with MMOs as well, to an extent. But specifically, the Pokeballs, a couple, you know, cash up things like that is just no, you know, for me, I really want to be strict. And that might sound weird coming from me, because I'm somebody who has been promoting and playing a lot of games with dubious microtransactions, but it's just because you can't escape it. And there is a lot of gray area, and you can actually, like, in a straight up objectively pay to win game, you can still have fun in that pay to win game. But I don't know, should I be promoting these games or not? I mean, you have to do so much research into these games, because sometimes you just don't even know. Sometimes I'll do a video, and like, I'll have an end game character given to me and everything, and I never realized the game is apparently pay to win, because Yeah, I mean, it's just so convoluted and confusing. So if it's so confusing and convoluted to me, who literally would review different microtransactions, specifically like, oh, this is a free-to-play MMO, is it worth the money, like the individual cash shop items, for somebody who totally focused on stuff like that, and obviously has such a freaking circle jerk on hating on all microtransactions, if it's so confusing to me, how are these grown-ups, how are these grown-ups going to define these kind of things? So that's what I'm worried about. But I am obviously still going to applaud. I'm very thankful that this is, these things are finally getting taken seriously, and hopefully this can kind of envelop more, or develop into, more discussion about how we, pay for cell phone services, actually, how we pay for our online, our cable, and I think more and more we're talking about these different things, these things that they're services and they're things that we can't touch and own, and yet we kind of need to have a little bit more ownership of these things, this technology that we... it's so ambiguous, but it really shouldn't be. It should be more defined, and I'm glad that we're taking more steps to better define those things. So yeah, this is just one small, step for gamer kind, and it's just video games, and like, who cares, man? Let people spend money on what they want to spend on. How can you define what is good and healthy fun or not? The thing is you can. You actually can. Drugs, fast food, the crime, stealing. There's a lot of things that make you feel real good, but they're not good. They're not actually good, and especially when you think about the wider, we live in a society. When you think about that, it becomes obvious, I think. But of course, getting those definitions, it's not so obvious. It's still very vague, and that's going to be the work. But I think it's really cool. So anyways, quote from the bro, here we go, Josh Hawley. When a game is designed for kids, game developers should not be allowed to monetize addiction. Right? And when kids play games designed for adults, they should be walled off from compulsive microtransactions. Game developers who knowingly exploit children should face legal consequences. And that's really important. And then hopefully this trend will just have more developers coming up with more productive monetization schemes. And while not perfect, Fortnite is a good example of... Honestly, it does a lot of the same kind of tricks, mental tricks, to get you addicted to the game, to keep you playing the game, to make you want to, log in every day. But they are technically providing a service, and they are giving us a ton of stuff. But here, that's also an example of how you get away from loot boxes. So instead of selling skins in loot boxes, what you do is you have a daily rotating store of random skins. So how do you feel about that? You can still buy a direct skin if you happen to log in that day. So, I guess little steps, friends and family, little steps, and we'll get there. But yes, absolutely, for children, no gambling, no loot boxes. Overwatch, no loot boxes. I'm sorry. What I really want you guys to do, you developers to do, is to give me content that I want to consume. Like the skins in League of Legends are insane. They're really good, really high quality stuff that even have lore implications. Let's get stuff like that. Really work for our dollar. That's what I'm saying. Games as a service, you need to service me. Please and thank you. Okay, so, yeah, other than that, I said a lot of things about a lot of things, but, yeah, U.S. Senator introduces bill to ban loot boxes and pay-to-win microtransactions. Good luck, my brother. But it's kind of an uphill battle. But the more people that are walking up that hill, the easier it's going to be. That's what I got to say. And it's something that is inevitable, and it's going to change gaming. But, of course, the nefarious little tricks are going to always be there. And, there's always going to be workarounds. But hopefully, it's not going to be the mainstream. That's it. End capping the video. Yes, mobile gaming, pay to win and loot boxes and gambling, that is the mainstream. Gacha games, entire careers are being built on YouTube just talking about gacha sales. FG3000, I got you. Hokage, okay? So this kind of stuff, it should change. We should evolve. Just get it out of the mainstream. That's the next step. Let's go. Let's do it together, friends and family. So that's it. Randomly relevant gameplay in the background. Hope you had fun with it. If you want a link to the game, links in the description, I guess. And if you want your game shown me playing it, send me an email, maybe with a donation or something, and we'll see what we can do. Keep some eyeballs on the Patreon if you want to see more videos like this. Donate, give me money, guys. But I don't know. All I can ask really is you keep the hype alive. My name's Skylent. I'll see you again next time.